My name is Kundini Sirur. Sirur is my family name. Kundini is the name given to me by my parents, and a lot of people ask me what is the meaning of Kundini. There is a flower called Kund flower, supposed to be beautiful flower. So my parents took a great chance on naming me Kundini. I was born in Karnataka in India, and my parents were living in Bombay that time, so went down to Bombay, and all my schooling, education, everything was in Bombay. I went to a very good school, which is what we call a local language school, because my father wasn't very keen on us going to convent school, because his ideas were, if we go to convent school during the British Raj time, we wouldn't be learning anything of the Indian culture and things, whereas English language will naturally come to us. So when we were in schools, he would bring us English books to read. So side by side, we were trying to read English as well. And at times we were not very happy with the situation, because we wanted to be with other girls who were convent educated girls, and they would speak fluent English, whereas we just yes, no and thank you is our vocabulary those days. But eventually we caught up with them. And then I went to a very good college called Elphinstone College, which is one of the Bombay's best colleges, supposed to be quite intellectual type of things. I wasn't, but I went to that college, and I did my BSc degree with chemistry and botany. And by that time, when I was in the final thing, 2 years, I moved into another college, which is on Chowpatty Beach, if you have heard Chowpatty. So that's the connection with the sea. So the sea was always there for us, being in Bombay. And then when I was in my final year, my father passed away. So I wanted to do further studies, which I could have, but I didn't want to burden my family with extra expenses and all. So I just did some voluntary works. I taught in schools, and then took up a job in Roche Pharmaceuticals, and I worked there for 2-3 years. And then I met my husband. We got married in January, 12th of January, and then actually I should have come with him to England, but then some passport regulations and all that were not finalized. So I had to stay behind, and in August of that year, I came to Belfast. I took Air India flight. Very next week he started his work, and I was left on my own, and I had no idea what this country is. I absolutely had nobody around me, because he would go in the morning and come back in the evening, and so I had to fulfill my time. And being born in Bombay and brought up there, brought up there, I was quite bold enough to explore the city. So I just used to take off any bus that was going to different direction, and I would go all over Belfast. The journey to Nottingham was, I spent 2 years in Belfast, and I had my first child there. And then I went to India, then came back to Swansea, because my husband was looking for a job in England. So we stayed 1 year in Swansea, and then 1973 April we ended up in Nottingham. When my husband had his interview, and he said, I have to go to Nottingham, and I said, hang on, we used to read books about Robin Hood from Nottingham, and I thought it was a fictional place. So he said, no, it's a real place. So I just insisted, I want to come to Nottingham. So he said, it's going to be a long journey from Swansea to Nottingham. So I said, don't mind. So I packed up my baby's things and all, and we came to Nottingham. So the first impression of Nottingham would be in February of that year, 73. Yeah, Nottingham looked quite good, as good as Swansea. And those days the hospitals used to be on the rope walk, General Hospital, and that's where my husband's interview was. So I just had a look at the castle. I saw Robin Hood by my own eyes and realized, oh, this is real, it's not the storybook, see. So the Maid Marian Way and all those things I explored myself with the little baby, and looked forward to coming to Nottingham. Traveling was easy from Nottingham since in the middle of the country, Midlands. We had good friends and relatives, London, Leicester and places like that. So traveling wise it helped us, and my husband was happy in his job, which was more important, and that was it. Naturally you meet up with other people, somebody will have similar experiences like you, and somewhere you click, and I had made good friends around that time. By that time finding Indian foods was not all that difficult, because if you asked me how I managed in Belfast, we had no Indian shops. So this was, compared to it, was a heaven. There were a couple of Indian shops, and somebody suggested us there is a place called Leicester. There you can find anything and everything. So that was sort of a monthly tour for us, going to India, Little India they used to call it then. So finding the things was much easier. And I think those days there used to be 1 or 2 cinema houses which showed Indian cinemas as well. So I managed to watch a couple of those. I don't remember much of the films, but they were good songs, and as you know, the Indian films are always dance and songs, and familiar songs which took me back to India good few years. And then in the interval, as they called, we used to have samosas and teas, so that was another attraction, and met up a few people, and made a few people, met friends like that. I used to join whatever classes were available. So I learned calligraphy, I learned frame making, stitching and all those things. I either self-taught, or one thing I must be very, very grateful to is the libraries. I started going to library, and any available book on craft and all, I used to bring it home, study myself, and because I didn't know any teachers. I had little knowledge of this back in India, because we had in school, we used to have little things. But I was more of a tomboyish sort, I was more interested in sports, because I played table tennis, badminton, all those sort of things. So stitching and cooking was not my forte, but coming to this country taught me everything, and just wanted to learn more about it. So library was my lifeline. When I went for interview, I just went in my Indian clothes, because I didn't wear any Western clothes that time. And when I asked them, what's the dress code here, because I wouldn't be coming this way, and they said, no, you are the first Indian working for us, and we would like you to come in your own dress. So I have spoiled half a dozen of my saris because of dropping the acid or something like that while experimenting, So, but of course we used to wear the lab coat. So, no, to be honest, I never came across any racism. In fact, people wanted to learn more about my culture. They were fascinated by our food, our ways of living. So, directly I haven't come across racism at all. Well, Nottingham is a city, I felt it grows on you. The more you live here, the more you find about the place, and you start liking it. There is still, even after 40 odd years, I still haven't completely found the Nottingham I would have seen. So there are always interesting things to go to, visit to, and there's new things always come up. So it's a fascinating city.